I was never supposed to see the thing that lives in my house. It began the instant I realized the reflection in my bathroom mirror was no longer moving with me. At first, it was just a fraction of a second delay when I tilted my head, but then it stopped copying altogether, staring at me with a slight grin I knew I wasn't making. And before I could even step back, the bathroom light flickered once, twice, then went black, leaving only that faint outline of my own face in the mirror, glowing in the dark, like it had its own source of light. I stumbled back into the hallway, heart pounding so hard I could hear the blood in my ears. But the house was too quiet, suffocating, as if the air itself had thickened. And when I glanced into the living room, every single picture frame was turned toward the wall. I live alone. And then, in the reflection of the dark TV screen, I saw myself standing in the kitchen, completely still, head tilted at a broken angle, watching me from 50 feet away. But when I spun toward the kitchen, it was empty, though the tap had been left running with thick, dark liquid dripping into the sink. I ran upstairs, thinking I'd barricade myself in my bedroom. But halfway up, the light behind me flickered again, and suddenly every door in the house began slamming one by one from the far end toward me, like something invisible was hurting me upward. In the hall, my bedroom door stood open even though I'd shut it earlier, and inside was my phone, the one I'd been carrying, lying on the floor, screen cracked, recording a live video of me sleeping. But in the footage, something with my face was crouched beside the bed, whispering words in a language that felt like a knife scraping my spine. And the worst part was that as I stared at the phone, I could hear the same whisper now, just behind me, breath warm on my neck. I didn't turn. I just bolted into the bedroom and slammed the door, pressing my back to it, but it pressed back, slow and deliberate, as if testing my strength. I grabbed a chair to wedge under the handle, but before I could, the room temperature dropped so fast my breath smoked. And in the corner of the room, where there shouldn't have been a mirror, there was one, tall and thin, with my reflection inside, banging on the glass, mouthing "Let me out," while the thing outside the mirror in my place grinned and stepped forward. The banging grew frantic. I realized, too late, which me was real, and as I reached for the glass to pull myself free, the reflection slammed its palms against it, screaming wordless terror, and the world inverted like a lens flipping. I was suddenly on the other side, pounding to get out, watching the thing that now wore my skin turn and leave my room, my house, my life, while I stayed trapped in endless darkness, forever screaming behind cold glass as someone else lived in my body. If you're wondering how I got here, it's because I was stupid enough to ignore all the signs when this nightmare started. See, it began when I moved into this old house on Harbinger Road. When the realtor showed me the master bathroom, she pointed out the big mirror and said how it made the small room feel more spacious. But as soon as I stepped in, I noticed something odd. My reflection wasn't copying me. I chalked it up to cheap wiring and shoddy maintenance. But when I came back later to brush my teeth, the image in the mirror wasn't me at all. It was me with a smile stretching too wide across my face, baring teeth that were way too sharp. Of course, I thought I was losing my mind. What kind of idiot believes in supernatural crap? But that night, when I woke up to use the bathroom, I noticed that the closet door had swung open on its own, and the room was freezing cold. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, just stress from the move, being a new environment. But as the weeks passed, things kept happening. I'd catch glimpses of myself in reflections around the house, always with a sinister grin, never matching what I was doing. Then, sometimes I'd define those same images in mirrors, even when I wasn't doing anything weird or smiling at all. I told myself I was going crazy, that I needed help, that it was stress. But when I looked into the eyes staring back at me from the mirror, they didn't look stressed. They looked predatory, knowing. One day I found my front door wide open, and all my pictures had been knocked off the walls. I thought maybe a burglar had come in and freaked out. But as I counted the frames on the floor, I realized that some were missing. The ones I'd hung last. As I examined them more closely, I noticed that each one depicted me with an increasingly large, cruel grin. And underneath each image were strange symbols scratched into the wood. That's when I decided I couldn't keep ignoring it. This house, these mirrors, whatever it is, it was changing me, warping me somehow. So I made a plan. I bought a hammer and a nail to remove the largest mirror, the one in the bathroom. But when I turned off the lights and crept into the bathroom to do it, I froze. The mirror now seemed to glow with an eerie light of its own. And inside it, the usual twisted image of me stared back with a mocking grin. But there was something different about it. This time, I could see another layer beneath the surface, another distorted reflection behind me. It was just a blur at first, but then it solidified. There was me, only not me, grinning wickedly. And behind that image, there was another, and then another, each more grotesque than the last, all staring at me with silent glee. It was as if the mirror were swallowing me whole. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then the images coalesced into a single figure, still smiling, but now it beckoned with a finger, urging me closer. I wanted to run, but my legs felt rooted to the spot. The figure in the mirror kept beckoning until I was sucked forward, stepping into the cool, dark glass. When I woke up, I was lying on the bathroom floor. The mirror was gone, but the feeling of dread and wrongness lingered. I knew whatever entity had been in that mirror was now inside me. But I also knew if I showed anyone what I'd seen, they wouldn't believe me. They'd think I was having a psychotic break. So I kept it to myself. Except sometimes at night, I still see glimpses of the thing that lives in my house. Sometimes I catch my own reflection staring back with cold, alien eyes. Sometimes I feel its presence brushing against me, its icy fingers digging into my skin. But the worst is when I look into the dark mirrors around this house and see the countless versions of me, the grinning, writhing figures behind my own eyes. I know that thing wants me to let it out, let it possess me completely. But as long as I resist, I can hold on to a sliver of hope that somehow I can defeat it, banish it back to the mirror. Or maybe I'm just deluding myself. Maybe it's already too late. Maybe I am the monster now. Maybe I am the thing in the mirror. If you want to learn more about this creature, stay tuned for more videos, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.